Hello and welcome back to my channel, Boozy Bookish Thoughts. I'm Justine, or Jay if you prefer, and welcome to my best books of 2022 video. So we are going to be talking about the best books that I read in 2022, and to give a little bit of context, I read a total of 33 books last year in 2022, and I only rated 5 of these as 5 stars based on Book Roast's G from Book Roast's Copile. If you haven't seen her video, I'll try and link them down below. She has a rating system which she turned into like a Google spreadsheet, and I've been using that for the past year or 2 years or so to rate my books, to help me rate my books, because it makes me think a little bit more about how I'm rating books. And I knew prior to using that system, I was an overly generous rater, and I think I still am, even using the spreadsheet. But this has made me a little bit more systematic about how I rate my books, you know, and it has meant that I have less 5-star reads, meaning that the books that I really liked are ranked higher than books that I had way too much fun with, you know. Although there's obviously nothing wrong with that. And leading into that, I do have 3 honorable mentions here, which are 4.5-star rated books, but that I really wanted to give 5 stars to. I really was hoping these would be 5 stars, but they weren't. But anyway, so I have 5-star rated books, and those five books out of 33 is a 15% of the total read books. So I think it's fair to say that these are like the best of the best, you know, the cream of the crop. I am still drinking my Pinot Noir. Stay tuned this Friday for the wine and book night featuring this wine. Let's have a sip. Cheers. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so first, let's start with the honorable mentions. So in the honorable mentions, we have 3 books that are 4.5-star rated, but that I really wanted to be 5 stars. So the first of these, I actually have a hard copy, I know, shocker, and that is The 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. This is a hard sci-fi. It's very hard sci-fi, very technical sci-fi, very sciencey, and it's, I can't tell you what it's really about because then it would be a plot twist, but suffice it to say it's about this math problem, the 3-body problem, and this one scientist who gets engrossed in a game that's based around this math problem. And yeah, it's about a lot more. It's also about anyway, it's about a lot of things, and I don't know what I can tell you without it being a spoiler. So suffice it to say, it's about a scientist who gets engrossed in this math problem and in a video game that's based on this math problem. Some trigger warnings for this, for scenes from China's Cultural Revolution. I don't know if they're based on history, but it is written by a Chinese person, so I'm assuming it is at least somewhat historically accurate. So those are kind of, sorry about the noise, they're pretty graphic, and it's pretty, but more than like being gory, it's not graphic in a gory sense, but it's graphic in a mentally torturous way, you know. So trigger warnings for that, and for scenes from China's Cultural Revolution and those not so fun times. It's a good book, and it's very good. It's the first part of a trilogy. I haven't gotten around to reading the next book in the series, but I do hope to this year. And yeah, it's a good sci-fi. If you're looking for harder sci-fi, a little bit more sciencey than like the usual poppy sci-fi, this is good. I will talk about it a little bit more in one of my ADHD reader books, one of my ADHD reader videos, because that book's pretty significant to me in a different way. The next book that I want to mention in my honorable mentions is another sci-fi book, and that is Honor of the Queen by David Weber. This is the second in the Honor Harrington series, and this is it's not as hard sci-fi, or you don't need to go into quantum physics or math to understand this as much. You just need to know that spaceships are cool, other planets are cool, and all that. But just like any other good sci-fi, it brings into sharp contrast some of our thoughts about society by placing it in juxtaposition with how other people might live their lives, you know? And it's a good contrast, and it makes you, in some degrees, it makes you sympathetic to the other party, and makes you want to be a little bit more like them. But in other ways, you definitely condemn them and see that, I mean, it sounds bad, but that what we do is so much better, you know? It's a very tricky balancing act, and this book did it really well. In particular, it was doing this with the concept of gender, and I think that the three main players in this little space drama was very nicely juxtaposed against each other, and it really brought into sharp relief what it means to do right by each other, by the different sexes and all that. So yeah, I also have a bit of a crush on one of the characters there. I think he'd make a good husband. He reminds me a little bit of my boyfriend. But anyway, so there's that. And then the last honorable mention is Dragons of Winter Night by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. This is the second book in the Dragonlance Chronicles, Dragonlance series. So the first one was Dragons of Autumn Twilight, and then this is the second book, Dragons of Winter Night. And I think I've talked about all of these books on the channel already, but this book is if the first book was very standard sword and sorcery, this book went a little deeper. It showed off a little bit more what fantasy is really good at doing, about the same way that sci-fi is, but by like raising questions about what it means to do the right thing and to act honorably, and to have faith in yourself and in your code of conduct, you know, things like that. And yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. I became a lot more sympathetic to some of the characters that I originally dismissed in the first book, and it was so good. I liked it so much more. So all three of these books are early parts in series, and I do hope to continue all these series in this year. This year is the next year. Okay. Moving on from the honorable mentions, we will go to the actual top 5 best books of 2022. Drumroll. Okay. Instead of a drumroll, let's take a sip of wine. Okay. In chronological order, these are in chronological order, meaning from the first that I read down to the most recently read. And the first one is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. So this is the first in the Greatcoat series, and it is about one of the king's special guard, or special king's magistrate, and they have been dismissed from service, and they have been shamed since the death of the king. And it is about their quest to fulfill the king's last challenge to them, so to speak, and just their life and how to live an honorable life despite being dishonored and dismissed by society and all that. And I love this so much, because it is such a good discussion on justice, such a good discussion on honor, on dignity, on what it means to, in particular justice. It is such a good discussion on justice, and I feel like a lot of people need to read this a lot more to understand what it means to live in a just society, and what justice means for everyone. You know, what it means to feel justice be enacted for you in society, and to live in a just society. It's very good. It's another first in a series, and I do hope to read the rest very soon. The next is Rotten to the Core by T.E. Kinsey. This is the most recent. I think there's a new one now already, but that I haven't read, but this is the 8th book in the Lady Hardcastle mysteries, and this is just a cozy mystery, but I always love this series. This series is very close to my heart. I think it's a very fun series, and I love revisiting it. It's very good. The next book is Enthralled by A.H. Lee. This is like a short little follow-up sequel to The Knight and the Necromancer series by A.H. Lee as well. And I do love this book. It was a very cozy way to revisit the universe and to play around with some of the minor characters in the Knight and the Necromancer universe. And I loved it mostly because I loved revisiting this world, and I do hope to get more snippets from this universe. The last two books are by the same author, and they are Magpie Murders and Moonflower Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Now, I've talked a lot about these books already in my previous video, which was my November and December wrap-up, and so I don't want to get too much into it this time, since I feel like it would be redundant. But suffice it to say that these are very good mysteries, and were very satisfying mysteries. You know what I mean? When I say that these mysteries are like, they tie everything together in a nice, neat way, and the twists make sense. They aren't just for shock value. They make sense, and they really make the clues fit together. For me, the best plot twist is not one that you saw coming. I don't want to see it coming, but I do want to look back retroactively and say, that makes everything make sense. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be able to guess the plot twist, but I want to be able to look back at everything I read and everything I know from the book prior to this and say, this puts everything into a new perspective, and now everything makes sense. And that was the feeling that I got with these two books, especially Moonflower Murders. The twist at the end, which was like the resolution for the mystery, really tied everything together and just made everything feel so satisfied and tied up and neat. And I love them. I love them so much. I want to read some more by Anthony Horowitz to hopefully say that he is one of my new favorite authors, but let's see. So there you have it, my 3 honorable mentions. The 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. Let me hold it up. 3-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. The Honor of the Queen by David Weber. Dragons of Winter Night by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. And then the actual top 5 best books, which is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. Rotten to the Core by T.E. Kinsey. Enthralled by A.H. Lee. Magpie Murders and Moonflower Murders by Anthony Horowitz. So those were my best books of 2022. I hope you enjoyed talking about them with me. What were your favorite books of 2022? Tell me down in the comments. Please find my socials, Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, and Storygraph in the description down below, and please follow me there. And thank you, and cheers. Cheers.